Hello, you're listening to Abstract AF. I'm Sneha Jaiswal and I'm going to be reviewing 10 books under 10 minutes, more specifically, graphic novels. So let's get to the first one. It's called Ballad for Sophie by Filipe Melos and Juan Cavia. This was probably my best read in 2022. It's a gorgeous, beautiful blend of old classical charms and modern decadence. The work is a powerful combination of art and music that are echoed wondrously in all their highs and lows in this book. The story follows Sophie, a young journalist who hopes to interview an eccentric and reclusive music legend called Julien Dubois. Readers get a movie-like tale of two great musicians, one the rich Dubois, who's pushed hard to be a great pianist, and the other of the poor but naturally gifted Francois Samson. The artwork is the absolute highlight of this graphic novel. It's beautiful, bright, vivid, and vibrant, and will keep you hooked till the last page. Definitely check this book out. It's a 5 on 5 from me. Moving on to number 2, it's another great graphic novel called They Called Us Enemy by George Takei, the Star Trek actor. In this graphic novel memoir of sorts, Takei talks about his experiences at an internment camp. His family members were among the 120,000 Japanese Americans who were evicted from their homes and forced to live in camps after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. While Takei has co-written his memoir with Justin Eisinger and Stephen Scott, it's the artwork by Harmony Becker which really breathes life to a painful chapter of Japanese American history. The artwork is in black and white with a grainy texture that lends a news journal-like touch to the tale. For those who don't have any clue about how Japanese Americans suffered during the World War, this is a must-read book. Okay, let's move on to a fun little graphic novel called Doughnuts and Doom by Balazs Lorinczi. Now, this is a magical romantic tale about Margot, a witch with a potions business that she's trying hard to keep afloat, and Alina, a struggling musician who works at a donut shop. The two meet and it's hate at first sight, but as they get to know each other better, well, romance brews. This is a very breezy, light, fun sapphic romance. It doesn't dwell deep into any issues and it's just something that you would like to read during a quick break. The climax was straight out of a fluffy teen romantic movie. While some readers might think it overtly cheesy and silly, some might think it's perfectly romantic. It's a 3.5 on 5 from me. And moving on to our next graphic novel, it's a graphic novel memoir called Roots by Tara O'Connor. Let me just get to the point. I didn't enjoy this book much and give it a 2 on 5. It was a very simple tale that didn't have a lot of meat. It follows Tara's life as an illustrator who lives in America but flies to Ireland in the hopes of discovering her roots, and nothing really happens. She doesn't really learn much about her family, falls in love, comes back to America, and writes a book about it. The problem with the book is that it seems to be written with a very specific demographic in mind, and that is people who already know the author. Okay, moving on to book number 5. This is another graphic novel called Parenthesis by Elodie Durand, where the author recalls her painful journey of living with epilepsy. For those who don't know much about epilepsy, Durand's book is engaging and her simple black and white doodles starkly draw out the loneliness of experiencing a debilitating condition. Still in her early 20s when the epileptic attacks began, Durand suffers severe memory loss and finds the simplest tasks hard to accomplish. Between constant visits to doctors, psychiatrists, and the excess sleep caused by the drugs she's on, the author finds little time left for anything else. Story or plot-wise, there isn't a lot that actually happens. It really just talks about Elodie's experiences with her treatment and might not appeal to a lot of readers, but I did find it very interesting and give it a 4 on 5. So read it only if you don't mind reading a memoir about personal trauma and living with epilepsy. Okay, next book on the list is Odessa by Jonathan Hill. This is a dystopian graphic novel that serves up the classic find your estranged parent story in a post-apocalyptic world without some of the best love tropes in the genre. The story follows 17-year-old Vietnamese American Ginny who leaves home to find her estranged mother. Interestingly, Jonathan Hill decides to wash his graphic novel in peachy pink tones, a color that you would usually associate with lighter, sweeter themes in life. The art itself feels very rough, but kind of fits with the dystopian end of the world theme. I did think the book wasn't as exciting as it could have been, but it does spin an interesting interesting enough tale that could be read in one go, although it ends at a huge cliffhanger and a book 2 is not out yet, so maybe you would want to avoid the book altogether. Next book on the list is The Twilight Man by Koren Shadmi. Now, this is an illustrated biography of Rod Serling, who's best known for writing The Twilight Zone, a television series which came out in 1959 and was a huge hit. The story and artwork by Koren Shadmi creates an engaging 70s comic strip-like world to tell Sterling's fascinating rise to fame. Divided into 5 parts, the book starts with Sterling's stint in World War II as a young determined paratrooper who's scarred for life by the experience. And then we get to see his high and fancy lifestyle as a Hollywood writer. This graphic novel is like a little slice of television history and is a must read for any pop culture enthusiast. I gave it a 4 on 5 and absolutely enjoyed reading it. Graphic novel number 8 is Iscariot by S.M. Vidaurri. I did not like this book, even though I think I was quite generous with the 2 on 5 rating. It's about a little child who's recovering from something in a hospital and keeps getting visits by a man who can do magic. Even the artwork wasn't very captivating. They look like rough sketches of a storyboard. And I don't know, some readers might love the style. I didn't like it. My honest advice would be to skip this book. So, well, moving on to the next graphic novel. It's called Generations by Flavia Biondi. It's a fictional story about Matteo, a young man who returns to his hometown, hoping to live at his grandmother's place for free until he figures out what to do next in his life. To his surprise, he finds the house to be full. All 3 of his estranged father's sisters live there, and not everybody is happy about having another mouth to feed. One of his aunts ensures that Matthew isn't just a freeloader and makes him take care of the grandmother in return of, staying and eating for free. Now, even though this is actually a fictional story, it really felt like a memoir because it's so deeply personal in a way about this young man who's gay and he ran away from home after coming out to his father without giving the man a chance to even tell what he thinks about Matteo being gay. So Generations really flips the table against the young protagonists. Quite often young people think that the older generations can't understand them, but here Flavia Bondi tries to shed light into how it works both ways. You also need to make the effort to connect and bond with your family members in order for them to understand what you are going through. I quite enjoyed reading this book, even though it was slightly slow, serious, and didn't have any exciting elements. Take a look if it sounds interesting to you. And well, moving on to the last title, it's called Ye by Guilherme Petreca. I loved this book, okay? It was bizarre, whimsical, and follows a boy called Ye, who's mute and only responds with Ye to everything. It's the art in this graphic novel that's completely enrapturing, so if you like Petreca's work like I did, the book will be over before you know it. The art is a beautiful blend of medieval European styles and modern strokes. Set in a distant time where pirates, witches, and magicians were common sight, Ye is spread over 150 pages but gets over in 5 minutes. The story is very simple. Ye is marked by a curse and he sets out to find a witch who can help him and meets certain challenges on the way. I thought it made for a fascinating quick read and I wished it was longer. And yeah, that's it. Those were the 10 graphic novels reviewed under 10 minutes. Talk to you the next time.